Amazon to add 125,000 US workers and open many more facilities. Here's an article that was published in the Wall Street Journal today. And it highlights an impressive feat, of course, in Amazon being able to hire so many workers. What we'll do with this video is I'm going to point out a couple of the interesting statistics in the article and just show you kind of the scale at which Amazon is working here. And then at the end of the video, there's an employer brand kind of tactic that you can pull from this as a smaller business to gain a competitive advantage. And you can take what Amazon is doing and use it to your advantage, which is interesting. And we'll talk about that shortly. But just to get through the details of the article, so Amazon's announced that they're going to be hiring 125,000 workers in the US. And a lot of times when I see a headline like this, my mind goes to two places. The first is, are the employees seasonal or non-seasonal? Because that dictates what they plan to do in terms of the tenure, the duration of the hires. And in the article, a VP at Amazon mentions that these hires are actually non-seasonal. So it's an impressive feat. This isn't the Amazon hiring, we're in September now, hiring for the end of the year rush that they anticipate. This is actually permanent jobs that they see being value add for the future. So that's impressive. The article also goes into some interesting facts around how Amazon's been playing in the employer brand space. So since the start of the pandemic, they've given between 50 cent and $3 an hour raises to something like 500,000 employees. So just do a little bit of napkin math. If you think about from a high-end perspective, so $3 an hour for 500,000 employees, Amazon has kind of committed to paying their employees about $1.5 million more per hour per employee, or per the workforce. And when you think about just in terms of a balance sheet perspective, that's very impressive. But it also shows you kind of the demand and how much people are buying as a function of being kind of shut down and being at home all this time. I think long term we're also seeing consumer habits change. So to me, it signals like, okay, Amazon probably sees a lot of growth in the future and needs the manpower to do so. There's another interesting point in the article where another VP at Amazon mentions that they feel as a company that their benefits package is worth about $3.50 an hour. And so that's one of those, when I read it, I thought, oh, that's interesting, because you wouldn't know if you weren't on the Amazon careers page or actually searching through their jobs portal for a position. And at least as a practitioner, I see that as an opportunity to signal to the market something that maybe other people can't signal, especially if they're that valuable on a per hour basis. Which leads to kind of the final detail in the article, which they bring on, or they quote an economist who says, who I guess he highlights that it's so expensive for Amazon not to have workers. I mean, he likens it to a kind of a barber shop or a mom and pop shop where, okay, if there's a labor shortage, the owners can kind of step in and do the work for a little bit, and they kind of hold things over. Amazon doesn't have that luxury. And so when they get booms, just think of kind of buying cycles throughout the year. And if they're short staffed, the impact on their bottom line is unbelievable. So they've got to do these kind of big hiring pushes and signal to the market that they're hiring all the time, so that they can make sure that they're never short-staffed as much as possible, which is just an interesting point. Now going into the employer brand point. So one of the fundamentals of employer brand, or one of the key concepts, is that employer brand and kind of brand equity and growth are inextricably linked. And so an investment in just general brand equity typically has a positive effect on the employer brand too. So just kind of to illuminate the point, Tesla, for example, is just inherently sexier as an organization to work for today than, say, a tier 2 automotive supplier, just by function of the brand being as well known and as at the forefront of kind of media attention as it is. And then the reverse can be true as well. So if brand equity guides employer brand, well, an investment in an employer brand and making sure that your company is seen as the top place to work in a certain industry can also have positive effects on just general brand equity and help with growth too. So taking, what Amazon is doing here by signaling to the market we're on a mass hiring spree. People love winners. I think that's one of the fundamental human characteristics. So people love winners, and people like to attach themselves to things that are moving positively. Think of how people chase stock price when they'll start to see a stock start to ascend, and they'll want to jump on regardless of whether that price movement is at the end of its movement. People just like winners, and so companies, actually smaller companies, can really do. It's almost an inexpensive way to signal to the market that you're a winner if you can indicate that you're hiring, right? If a lot of your messaging around your executives, with your workers, with your messaging on your company, with press releases is around, hey, look, we're hiring. You start to signal to the market that you're a winner. And people typically like to attach themselves to that. I think of an example if you think of the beginning of the pandemic, I remember specifically, and BetterHelp, the mental health company, was doing a lot of advertising, I remember, on podcasts. And, let's say they would split the ad space 3/4, 1/4. The first 3/4 would be, of course, talking about the benefits of what they do. But the last quarter of that ad was usually saying that they're so busy that they're having to hire more experts. And they would end the ad with that as a sentiment. And it's a good tactic because, again, people like winners. And if you hear about a product, or if you don't own a product yet, or you don't have access to a service, but that service is frantically hiring, or they're saying that they're hiring all the time, again, your mind goes into, what is that? Why is everybody going on that? And I better jump on board. So that's the tactic that I see when I saw this article. The merits of Amazon hiring, of course, are there. They're a mammoth company with a great employer brand. But as kind of practitioners at a smaller level, there's value in signaling to the market that you're in growth mode and that you're hiring, because employer brand and equity, or brand equity, are linked. There's positive net effects across both. So just something to think about as you explore your employer brand marketing.